If you're thinking about buying a home for the first time this year, but don't know the steps, don't know where to start, I would stick around and watch this video. My name is Raul Rivera with the Rise Realty Group here in Antelope Valley. And today I'm going to go over all the steps of what it takes before buying a home, while you're buying a home, and everything after buying a home, right? So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into step one, and that is getting pre-approved with a lender. If you don't do this, you don't know your buying power, and you're going to be looking at houses that you fall in love with, and then you end up not qualifying for to buy it to begin with. You want to get an official number from a lender that will give you the buying power, so you actually have a number that you can go out with and go shopping with to see which houses you actually qualify for, right? So before you even talk to a lender, I can actually walk you through the qualifying process just so you can have an idea in your head of what you qualify for. So what you do is you basically take your monthly income, you can combine it with a spouse or a partner if you want, and you subtract any monthly debts that you currently pay. I'm not talking about bills, gas, I'm talking about car payments, student loans, and any credit card debt that you pay on a monthly basis. So you take your income, your gross monthly income, that's before taxes, subtract your debts, and then we're going to divide that number by a percentage based off of your credit score. So for this example, we're going to use 50%. Now this range can vary 5% higher or 5% lower depending on what type of loan you are getting. And to get specific with the numbers, if you're having a conventional loan, typically it's around 45%. If it's an FHA loan, it's typically 55 to 57%. And if it's a VA loan, veterans in any branch of the military, you would qualify for the VA loan, which is 72%. Pretty good. And after you divide that number by one of these percentages, you would get an estimated monthly amount that you would be paying every month for a mortgage in the future for whatever home that you're buying. So as a general bird's eye view, if this number is $3,000, then you would typically qualify for a $400,000 house. If this number is $4,000 per month, you would typically qualify for a $500,000 house, $5,600,000 house, $6,700,000 house, and so on and so forth, right? So if you do the math by yourself and your number qualifies in one of those categories and your credit score is pretty good, around at least the 650 range, you could qualify for a house 100%, and you could definitely get pre-approved with a lender. Now, one of the last things a lender does look at is your length of employment. So it typically has to be at least 2 years of you being employed. It doesn't matter what job you've been at. You could be at the same job for the past 2 years, or you could have 3 different jobs the past 2 years, as long as you were consistently employed. Now, let's say you were employed 2 years ago, and then you got laid off for your job a year into that job. Then you had a year break, and then you just got rehired recently. Then you would need to find a period of time where you were employed for 2 years and submit those tax returns to the lender, along with your current tax returns, right, to make sure everything's up to date. Lastly, we want to look at the current interest rates of the market, right? What an interest rate is basically the percentage that will be added on to the purchase price of your house, the price of receiving the loan. Because in essence, a lender is going to give you $400,000 to buy a house, and in return of giving you all this money to buy this house, they would want at least 6% of the price of that house going back to them, like an agreement. Hey, I'm gonna give you all this money in return as long as you paid back and give me a little bit extra on top of it. That seems fair. Now, these interest rates will fluctuate throughout the time, throughout the years. I know 3 to 4 years ago, the interest rates were around 3%. Now it is 6%. It is doubled, which means there will be a higher monthly payment, which is not always bad in the case, because higher interest rates means the prices of the homes are lower. So if you have lower interest rates, then the price of the homes will skyrocket through the roof anyway. Back in 2022, it was a seller's market, which means someone was selling their house and then there would be 30 offers on that house the day that the house would hit the market. And then it became a bid war. Everyone was paying $50,000 to sometimes $100,000 over the original listing price. That jacked up the price of the house because of the interest rates were low, right? Nowadays, in 2026, interest rates definitely grew, but that caused the demand to drop, which means the prices of the house became stagnant, and now they are starting to go down. So your monthly rate is pretty much the total purchase price of the house plus percentage from the interest rate, right? Tagging on a little extra fees such as insurance, miscellaneous little expenses that you could add on top of your home throughout its mortgage life cycle. Take that number, purchase price plus the interest rate, and then divide that by 30. Why 30? It's you're paying off the house throughout 30 years, right? It's called a 30-year mortgage loan, right? Divide that by 30 and then divide that by 12, and then you get an estimated of your monthly payment that you will be paying off your home. Some honorable mentions, right? First-time home buyers loan. I would definitely take advantage of this strongly because it increases your purchase power. So with FHA loans, your debt to income ratio, your percentage will be a lot higher. It will be around 55 to 57%. It'll allow you to pay more per month, which means you could qualify to buy more houses, right? It is a government-backed loan, and because of this, you will need a higher down payment. Now, speaking of down payments, each down payment type will depend on the type of loan that you're getting. If it's a conventional loan, you will want at least 3% down of the total purchase price of the home, right? It's not 10%, it's not 15%, and it's definitely not 20%, right? You can get away with putting at least 3% down of the purchase price of the home. That is for a regular conventional loan. FHA loans, they require 3.5% down. And if you are a military veteran, you have the honor of getting 0% down. You don't need to put any money down, right? Maybe cover expenses depending on the negotiation and depending on the house, right? But you don't have to have anything down to buy the house as long as you have a VA loan. Now that's pretty cool. Now, once you have all that, you are pre-approved by a lender. They give you a number. Hey, you're pre-approved for a $500,000 house, for example, right? Now this is the time when you get with an agent and then you go shopping. Us realtors, we typically have the most information on the market. We usually know exactly what you're looking for, and we have information that is confidential that the public does not have access to, right? And usually if they are a good agent, they will actually help you in the best way possible and actually not waste your time. And they will show you houses, what you are realistically looking for, depending on the preferences that you guys discussed, as well as definitely not going above the number that you got pre-approved for. Once this good agent shows you at least 3 realistic good homes that would be a perfect fit for you, then it's the agent's job to reach out to the other agent that's representing the seller, and then that's when negotiating happens. Hey, what's the maximum amount you're willing to take, or what is the least amount your seller is willing to take to get an offer accepted? And if the terms are good between both parties, then that's when the buyer's side submits an offer to the seller's side, and it's up to the seller whether they want to accept it or counter it, right? Well, we like some of the terms, but we want to include some of our new terms in our counter offer. And then it's up to the buyer's side whether to accept that counter offer or submit another counter offer to the seller, right? So whenever this offer gets submitted, and then that's when we all go into escrow. So escrow is a third-party company that mediates both sides. They make sure everything, goes smoothly and everything is fair in the real estate transaction. Some of the steps of escrow include inspection, transfer of title, walkthrough, and closing. And then after closing, exchange of keys, and then now the house is yours, right? All of this was pretty much a bird's eye view of what it's like to buy in a home. A majority of this video was mainly how to get pre-approved, what that process looks like, just so you're not wasting your time in the first place, right? So now you are equipped with the numbers that you can crunch, and then once you crunch your own numbers, now you have a goal that you can definitely start to attack and save up towards to buying your first home in the future. If your credit's not good, that's something you could work on. If your monthly income isn't high enough, then that's something that you could also work on. If you have a lot of debt, then that's something that you can pay off over time and really lower that debt. If you haven't been employed for long, you keep working. But if you are ready, I wouldn't wait for interest rates to fall, because once they do fall, then now you're pinned up against thousands of other buyers for the same houses. And the good thing is that you could always refinance later when the interest rates do fall. So what that is, when you refinance, you basically get the lower interest rate for the same house that you bought years ago. So there you have it, your first time homebuyer's guide, all in a video. If you do need an agent, by the way, and you are in the Southern California area, give me a call on my Instagram, and then I'll talk to you guys soon.